away we go. It is Chicken Dinner, the 10th time we've talked live with you here on a Thursday night leading up to another big game. I like this one today. We had some duds this year on Thursday Night Football. The Commanders and the Eagles with the NFC East superiority hanging in the balance. Welcome to it as we do every Thursday here on Chicken Dinner, live on YouTube, live on X. If you miss anything, if you join late, don't sweat it because you can follow along on Apple, on Spotify, and wherever you catch your podcasts. Very excited about the guest list today. So Nick Kalikas will join us at 7:15 Eastern. He's an analyst for the UFC, and he's a former odds maker and currently a bettor out in Las Vegas. Nick spent some time at Circa. He's worked around town, and he knows his way around not only a squared circle, but an octagon, because we have to talk about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. It is the hottest gambling topic in the streets right now. And I wasn't really that invested. I don't care that much. But if you drop in a group thread today, tomorrow, who do you like in the fight? Oh, especially if it's a big group thread with 10, 15 people. Oh, it's like starting World War III between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. And Tyson, as you know, has been a magnet for handle either on or against for decades. This is a fight, though, that at one point was Jake Paul minus 300. And you look at some of these books now, we're sub $2. There's a big appetite to bet Mike Tyson. And I'll get to the story that David Purdom wrote in just a second. The most popular bet at most sports books is Tyson knockout in the first round. The number one bet, Tyson first round knockout. And these are only 2-minute rounds, by the way. It's not your standard boxing round. So understand the details and understand that everybody in this country at the end of the day may have a bet or have a friend who has a bet on Mike Tyson knocking out Jake Paul in the first round. So I can't wait to talk about that with Nick Kalikas. And also, we got a big one, John Jones and Stipe in the UFC on Saturday night. So 2 big bouts to talk about with Nick Kalikas. At 7:35, we'll talk to Ryan Kramer and Sean Green from the Sports Gambling Podcast. Last time I saw those two, we were out in Vegas for Bet Bash, and they had tuxedos on during their show. If you know Ryan and Sean, not big tuxedo guys, but they did dress the part. They did their live show at Circa, and then we drank whiskey for 6 hours at Bet Bash. And 8 o'clock, we'll talk to, allegedly, Corbie Craig making his return to the show. This kid is on fire with college football this year. I think he tweeted that he's 68% with his college football plays this year on this show. He had a couple 3-0 weeks back to back. And last week he went 0-1. And so it goes, what the hell, Corbie? That's what happens. When you pick at a clip like that, people are going to throw daggers your way every time you lose. BetQL Daily, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, 2 noon, 9 to 12. BetQL Network, Odyssey app, and twitch.com/BetQL. Having a lot of fun with that. Joe O and I are crushing it. We're really enjoying it, and we appreciate all your support on that. And, of course, if you listen to Bear Bets on Fox with Chris Felica, Jeff Schwartz, Will Hill, and myself, just talking smack, talking college football, and making fun of each other for about 45 minutes a week, as you all do in your group threads. I want to start with this football season for me quickly, and then I'll get to my bets, and then we'll talk a little bit about Mahomes and his number against the spread. I have some quotes about Paul and Tyson. And then Kevin Durant is just, he's on one on Twitter, to say the least, because Durant is now giving football picks on Kay Adams' show. But then he's talking shit to people who talk shit to him about him not hitting his overs so people's parlays aren't cashing. So he's talking smack, they're talking smack, and then he gives football picks on a gambling network. The irony, you can't make it up. But this football season started very strong for Chicken Dinner. And those of you that have followed for a long time, we've done really well over the last 5 years. Last year was 62-48. Good season. This year I started 21-13 and then got to 29-34. Not great. However, if you look at the record now, it's 43-37. So that's a 14-3 run right now. And I assure you, I have changed fucking nothing. Nothing has changed. I don't change the way I handicap in the middle of a season. October was tough for a lot of us. If you're a dog player, you got cooked, especially in the NFL. I mean, favorites hit 3 of the 4 weeks. And there were some weeks where favorites went, 13-2. The one week they went 14-1. straight up. And a lot of those favorites ended up covering. But I've changed literally nothing. And people will say, well, what's different? I don't know. Like, I'm trying to beat the number, trying to give out good bets. 3 of the bets I gave out today moved in our favor, which is nice. Arkansas plus 13.5. That came down to about 12. Let me share the screen and pull up the odds logic board right now. I'm going to jump around for a second. So Washington Philly is the game tonight that we will talk about at 7:35 with the guys from the SGP Sports Gambling Podcast. Philly out to 4.5 at Circa. Wow. This was 3.5 all morning, and now we're sitting mostly 4. But the games I gave today were Arkansas plus 13.5, and you see that one, 334. Yeah, 12 at Circa. Got a 12 at Chris. A lot of 12.5. South Point down to 12. I think Texas is a really good football team, but I don't think Texas has really beaten anybody. And I saw a lot of smoke on Twitter, like SMU is better than Texas. No, they're not. Stop. I like Texas. We bet Texas last week. We laid 21.5. Didn't think Lagway was going to play. But bet Arkansas at plus 13.5. Notre Dame, bet a little bit of that today. And they got hit earlier this afternoon. Yeah, 23 now at a couple places. 23.5 at Pinnacle. Love to see that. Gave out 22.5 on Notre Dame. And then this is the polarizing one, Georgia and Tennessee. Now, I put chicken dinner at plus 12.5 on Tennessee. And if you remember, this opened up at Circa, as it always does on Sunday afternoon at 7. Georgia minus 7. And then the early report and the early rumors, Nico Iamaleava, say that 8 times fast, is not expected to play. And when you hear that on a Monday, obviously the number is going to run. So it goes from 7 to 9 to 10. It got to 11 at Circa. Some books got to 11.5. Well, I actually heard in the last 24 to 36 hours that he's trending in the right direction and that barring a setback, he's going to play. So you look at the board now. Here we go. 9.5, 9.5, 10, 9.5. Do I know that he's playing? Of course not. Nobody knows. And Tennessee called him questionable. They're going to ride that thing to the rim. It's going to come down to about an hour before kick, in my estimation, because you got Pete Thamel's already saying game time decision. He said that 800 times this year about these players. So that's what ESPN is telling Pete Thamel. Or that's what the program is telling ESPN that tells Pete. That's how it works. So he's questionable and a game time decision. But if Nico is out, this number is closer to 12.5. So the support in the market is buying the hype that Tennessee is going to have Nico Iamaleava. Fuck myself there. They're going to have him ready to go. And when you see these books come off the 10 against Georgia, that's respected play. There was one guy last night that was telling me he's going to just bet 11 and see what happens. Because if he has 11 on Tennessee and then Nico gets ruled in, and they move the line to 8.5, 8, he can middle it on 10. That's just one professional's mindset on how to attack the game. Tennessee's been sloppy on offense, but Tennessee's defense is really good. You know, what do you get from Georgia? Does Georgia bounce back? A lot of people expect Georgia to bounce back, but Carson Beck has been far from great. So those are the 3 I gave today. You know, move the market on all 3 of them. That's pretty nice. Now they got to do their jobs. I also like the Steelers in the NFL. That won't be popular. People are going to bet the Ravens, and I understand it. I just really believe in this defense. And Tomlin finds ways, keeps finding ways to win football games. This opens 3.5, and now it's 3. So you're always going to get support for Tomlin as a home dog. That's never going to change. I did bet this one, too. I like Vegas in the game. And remember, I was on Miami on Monday night. You know, everybody bet the Rams, got that out to like 2.5, came in and bet Miami, and it closed, you know, right around where it opened. It opened, you know, just short of 3 and then comes down. People bet Rams, though, because there was the Tyreek Hill uncertainty. So it went up to 2.5. Cool. Had the Dolphins. Now it's time to flip. No pun intended. Vegas off the bye. Antonio Pierce probably going to do something stupid like kick a field goal down 8 to lose by 5, whatever he does. They've been around in these games. They've been competitive in Vegas. And that number, we talked about it on the morning show on BetQL, 8.5, 8. long gone. Now you're lucky to get a 7.5. There is one at MGM. There's one at Pinnacle, but a lot of you are going to have the 7 here on Vegas, which I do like. And then the stat of the week. I'm sure you've heard this a million times already. Well, here's 1,000,001. Did you know that Patrick Mahomes is 12-1-1 ATS as a dog? Yeah, I bet you did. They still bet Buffalo. This thing actually opened at one shop, Kansas City -1, and immediately corrected to Buffalo as the favorite, and now Buffalo out to 2.5. I like Kansas City, but I like them in a teaser. Talk me out of a Kansas City 8.5 to a Chargers, one below. Make the Chargers a 7.5 point favorite, go the other way. So Kansas City plus 8.5, Cincinnati plus 7.5. That's what I like. I know a lot of sharp people on Kansas City, but I know some guys that also have big bets on Buffalo, -1.5, and also some Buffalo money line. So you're going to get good two-way on this game, and that's what the books want. You're always going to get that in a Mahomes-Allen game. Who wins? I have no idea. I do like KC, though, getting 8.5, going through the 7, and now going through the 8 with the way teams go for 2 now when they're down 14, because you could get cooked on that. Your team's down 14, you're holding 8.5. You know, you're protected by a 2-point attempt and a failure. Where if you're at 7.5, different story. Different story. So those are my 6. What have I changed? Nothing. Just trying to make the right bets and get the right numbers. 2 more quick things before I get to Nick Kalikas. Not going to do the Tyson and Paula. Save that for him. I don't know if you saw this, but Lev Akabas, I think that's how you say his name, Akabas. He shared a post that FanDuel posted odds on the Cleveland Cavaliers going 82-0. Yeah, that's right. Let me share this graphic. 82-0, which has never been done before, of course. The best has been 73-9. We all remember that. FanDuel posted 1,000-1 on the Cavs going 82-0. Lev adds, the actual odds are probably more like 10 million to 1. I said, oh, I don't know that that's exactly correct, but 1,000-1 on an NBA team going undefeated, that seems a little light. And of course, you don't get the no price. You just get the yes. Yes, you can bet at 1,000-1. You cannot bet the no. And then Jeff Sherman, friend of the show, he popped out the odds on the Lakers streak going down. So here's this. The odds to break the Lakers win streak of 33 games with the current schedule would be over 50,000-1. 50,000. Not 1,000-1. And then I had another buddy who books in Vegas say, I'd give him 1,000,000,000-1. Just be careful with these markets at these rec books that don't have no prices, because you can deal whatever you want on the yes. And then the last thing, Kevin Durant he's been very funny. So he's been jabbing people because Durant hears a lot of shit at NBA games about, you know, he's not over his point total, or he needs another 3, or grab the rebound, bitch, whatever it is. I can only imagine. And I feel for professional athletes dealing with these lunatics that are betting parlays every night. So Durant has been tweeting a lot about betting. Here's a tweet from November 1st. Great dub, sons. And for my parlayers, better luck next time, LOL. That's the message from Kevin Durant on November 1st. Okay, somebody responds to that naturally. Stop blaming people who gamble on your trash performance last night. 0 points in the second half. You are washed. 5 clown emojis. Durant responds, stop blaming me for losing money because you have a gambling problem. Thought that was pretty interesting exchange. However, the elephant in the room is that Kevin Durant now goes on Kay Adams' show and gives weekly football picks. And here's this. Here's a tweet from Kevin Durant. Very touty, which I think is hysterical. I got nothing wrong with Kevin Durant giving picks, but he's going at people for chirping at him, and then he's touting him picking NFL games. And mind you, he's not picking them against the spread. He's picking them straight up. 7-1 last week. Listen up for week 10 at FanDuel Sportsbook. And then here's Durant and Kay Adams. I think they do a great job. It's a fun segment. But these are all money line bets. Jets over the Cardinals. Bears over the Patriots. Broncos over the Chiefs. Should have won. It's just funny. The irony to me is very funny. He don't want to hear about your parlays, but he will tout his picks powered by FanDuel. That's the space we live in, is it not? Nick Kalikas joining us now from Fight Odds, live from Las Vegas. You got to unmute yourself, which you just did. Welcome to the show. Do you have any thoughts on the Durant NFL touty picks on the show? What do you think about that?
I love it, man, because, it's hypocritical, of course, as you said. So it's outstanding. And you know what? All these athletes, whether they want to admit it or not, I think they are definitely fans of gambling, whatever the case may be. And they kind of get it, even if he's responding back to some of the fans out there that are, being negative towards him. It's all part of it all. So hard to deal with, man. I put myself in his shoes. I think I would have fun with it.
Yeah, he's having fun with it. I think it's both sides of the fence, which it is what it is. He's a multimillionaire, if not more now by this point with all his stuff off the court, but he does have a little bit of thin skin, and if you're going to give picks out on a show that are going to lose, you got to deal with what comes on the other side. I want to get to the big UFC fight, of course, between Jon Jones and Stipe, but just take me through the hype train on this fight tomorrow. It's Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, and I don't know what's going to happen. I can defer to you, but I'm hearing all kinds of Tyson money. And we see the bet splits from these books. And on our show, it's 8% of the tickets at BetMGM are on Jake Paul. 8%. That's it. And then you talk to the guys in Vegas who are taking big bets, and it's, every six-figure bet is on Jake Paul. What do you make of the fight just on the surface? And what do you think of the hype around it so far?
Man, you know what? To be honest with you, it's hard to tell. None of us really know how this thing is going to play out. If this was Mike Tyson a few years back, of course, it's not even a contest. Everybody be loading up on Mike Tyson. But you're talking about a guy that's like 60 years old, fighting a guy half his age, and Jake Paul, which has some power for sure. We don't know how durable Tyson's chin's going to be at this point. We know, from footage and everything we've seen so far, he can still bring it. He's still going to be dangerous, and it's hard not to like Mike Tyson. But that's why all the square money is kind of coming in his way. And you're right. A lot of sharper bettors in Vegas are looking to get down on Jake Paul. So they're looking to lay that low price because it's come down quite a bit since the line opened.
Yeah, I saw the reopen was about Paul minus 310. I'm going to pull the Odds Logic screen up right now, and you don't see anywhere near $3. So Pinnacle's $215, Circa $220, South Point down to $2. The plus price has gone from $245 to about plus $190, if not lower. I just wonder how far they're going to drive this down, because there will be a lot of public money that comes in tomorrow. And to be honest with you, Nick, I might take some Jake Paul if I could get minus 180 or minus 185. That's sort of how I feel. But I will buy insurance. Everybody I know is saying bet Tyson to knock him out in the first round. If that happens and I don't have a little piece, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. It's, that's the thing with this fight. It's just make it a fun bet. I know some of these guys are going to go extremely big and bet that big money that you're talking about, the six figures. That's insane for this type of fight, man. Even if you think you have the right side, I think you got to take it easy because, again, there's so many uncertainties that come in here. And the way you're going to do it, put a little bit on Tyson by KO, whatever round it may be. I think that's a good way to do it. And I think I'm going to probably bite. If it gets down to minus 185, it would be hard for me not to go against the public and jump in on Jake Paul a little bit, though. I haven't got involved yet, to be honest with you. I haven't got either way. But that being said, I'm waiting. And if it does get to minus 185, I'll probably bite on Jake Paul a little bit.
Is there a world where Tyson is just completely cooked? That he just has no, we know, 2 minutes in, 4 minutes in, that he has no shot to win? We have to entertain that possibility, right?
You have to. Again, he looks the part, his training footage, everything that we've seen, even in the Roy Jones fight, so we've seen some glimpses of him still having some left in the tank. But again, now you're fighting a young gun and Jake Paul that's been in there, credit him or not. He's been in there with some decent fighters. I know they're MMA fighters kind of transitioning over to boxing and guys that are past their prime more times than not. So, that's, again, the uncertainties. But the problem is he has delivered in those spots more times than not. And Jake Paul is, whether you like him or not, a solid boxer at this point. Now, is he a high-level boxer? That's yet to be determined. He really hasn't gotten tested all that much. But again, Mike Tyson, 60 years old, at his prime, he would have destroyed Jake Paul. So that's the intrigue. I know all of us kind of want Tyson to win, right? Let's face it. We want to see that like Rocky type of story, whatever the case may be, with Mike Tyson just going out there. Hey, there's a lot of people that kind of don't like the way Jake Paul has, run his mouth a little bit. So a lot of people are pulling for Mike Tyson. I think it's going to be one of the biggest watched boxing events ever, man. Netflix is smart by doing this.
Well, you've been in town for a lot of these big fights, and I'm not going to even equate it to some of the old Tyson fights. And I was there. I lived in town when Mayweather fought McGregor, and the handle was out of control. And that was a line that obviously opened a lot higher. I remember it opened Floyd minus 2,500 at one shop, and then it got down to Floyd minus 400. And all the drunken Irish, they didn't care about the price. They kept piling on McGregor. Plus 280, sure. Plus 275. Oh yeah. Oh, Connor's gonna whatever. They just bet it because they love McGregor. And I actually asked Robert Walker, who I know I asked him a long time ago. I came in as a young kid. I was like, who are the 4 best guys for handle? Jordan, Dan Marino. And he's like, no, they're all fighters. Like, they're all boxers. I think he said Tyson, De La Hoya, McGregor, and maybe Floyd. Like, these guys just bring the money out. And that's what's happening again with Tyson and Paul. So I can't wait to watch it. I'm hearing it's going to start at 11 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, maybe even later. Who knows? But I know that you've been digging into this UFC 309 card, and you do great stuff for UFC and Fight Pass, and you got all your MMA hooks in the water. I don't want to ask you about the main fight right off the top because you may not have a look there, but of this, pretty massive card, where do you want to start in New York City at the Garden?
Man, I mean, honestly, you could start anywhere outside of the main event. I mean, Bo Nickel against Paul Craig, to me, that's a little bit intriguing because we know the hype train that is Bo Nickel, and he's looked the part for sure. I mean, one of the best credentialed wrestlers ever coming into the sport here, and there's nothing but upside. He's so smart. I mean, his stand-up's getting better, so he's improving. But you know what? The UFC's not doing him any favors taking on Paul Craig. Paul Craig's been out there against some of the best that UFC's had to offer and it's finished some of these guys. So for me, this is like a fight that you're playing with kryptonite on the Paul Craig side, but it's also a fight that I think Bo Nickel's going to shine in. That's why you're seeing the price overinflated like it is a little bit. This is a dangerous spot, but I do think Bo Nickel probably gets a takedown, avoids a submission, and probably finishes on the ground. But that's an intriguing fight because this is the first real test, I think, really, of Nickel's career, no doubt.
Any way to bet it? I mean, I know people don't want to look up and lay 1,400, but is there anything to do maybe with the rounds, over, under, anything?
Yeah, I would think, or even maybe look for Nickel by submission, like a prop by submission. It's going to reduce it quite a bit. You might still have to lay a little chalk. I haven't seen what it is out there. So depending on the price point, though, I would look for that or a possible finish for sure, because I don't think this fight's going to go 3 rounds. There's no doubt. Okay. Anything else before we get to John Jones and Stipe? I think Michael Chandler's being a little bit underestimated against Charles Oliveira. Oliveira, of course, a fan favorite big time right now with all his performances, winning the title. He has a win over Chandler not too long ago as well, but the line has inflated a little bit to the point where everybody automatically thinks Oliveira is going to win. He's a dangerous fighter. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch because he can get it done on the feet or on the ground. But Chandler's a little spark plug, man. He's got enough dynamite in his fist where he could definitely do some damage. We've seen him come this close the first time around to almost winning that fight. The problem is he went a little bit too aggressive, kind of blew his wad, as they say, in the first round, and then Oliveira just finished in the second. So I think we're going to see Chandler maybe switch it up a little bit, and he's still dangerous enough not to lay the chalk against him. So for those people that are automatically putting Oliveira in a parlay, man, I would hesitate a little bit. I think it's kind of a dog or pass situation. Okay, you could find, let's see, 220 if you shop around, maybe even higher if you get creative. Michael Chandler against Charles Oliveira. And then the main one, I don't know that there's anything actionable in John Jones against Stipe. The way these fights shake out. The public's going to bet the dog. The wise guys are going to bet the favorite. Superbook, holy cow, out to minus 800 on John Jones. That is substantially higher than market. But look, I'm not the biggest UFC guy in the world, but I'd be sort of surprised if Stipe could pull this thing off. That's the problem. I think the narrative, at this point, Stipe's been out for so long, and the last remembrance, I should say, of him is getting knocked out by Ngannou, that brutal knockout finish. And then he's been on the shelf for so long, waiting for this Jones fight. So it's very hard to kind of back Stipe in this spot. Look, I hope he gets it done, to be honest with you, because I think it's disrespectful. If he was in his prime, if this took place, even John Jones towards his prime, I think Stipe would be a difficult matchup for Jones. But the problem is everybody fresh in their minds is John Jones just running through Cyril Gane. And Gane is a very tough heavyweight to go through. I understand that he implemented his game plan, Jones did, and he went out there and just finished him in quick fashion. So I think that's kind of inflated the odds a little bit. Dana White constantly saying that John Jones is the best ever, just putting him on the pedestal that he has. And you know what? It's fair to say. I mean, it's hard to argue that. Even the one controversial loss that he has is probably going to get overturned soon with Matt Hamill because he landed those 12-6 elbows. So you're talking about John Jones really being undefeated and just such a well-rounded fighter. I think he's going to implement that same type of game plan that he did last time against Gane, where he's going to come in here and try to wrestle Stipe. Even though Stipe's a wrestler, Jones has such an advantage on the ground. He's not going to want to mess around too much on the feet. I think he gets his fight to the floor and tries to submit Stipe. But if Stipe can keep it upright, we see a glimpse of what he's had in the past. He can make this interesting. I do feel the line's overinflated, but it is definitely difficult to bet this fight.
You'll love this. I saw a bet slip from a buddy of mine. It's a little bet to win a lot. It's a Tyson and a Stipe money line parlay.
Let's go. Oh, what? I got to hear the payout.
I got to find it on my. I think it was like 28-1 or something like that.
It's gonna be insane. Yeah. You know what? Yeah. Again, that's a lottery ticket type of like. In a way, a lot of these fans, even with Stipe, I think even though everybody loves John Jones and the hype and the popularity, everybody's putting their ticket on John Jones. He's in every parlay there is, cross parlays with NFL games, everything. There's John Jones is going to be a decision factor this weekend for books everywhere. There's no question about it. But that being said, I think there's still the Cinderella Man story for even Stipe, for Mike Tyson out there. We want to see these guys just from the heart come through, maybe pull off these upset wins.
I'm going to just build it from scratch because I'm not going back through this text thread. There's 800 messages in this text thread about who's going to win these fights. All right, so let me just pull up a quick one. Oh, it's actually not that big anymore. Well, then again, the Tyson money line is down to plus 160. So that true. Makes sense. So at this book, Stipe and Tyson money line, which Nick is not advocating for, nor am I. No. I think it's funny. At this book, it's 15-1. But if you hook Tyson up when he was, 180, 190, 195, you probably got a bigger shake. But look, you've been behind the counter. These are the bets you want to see as a bookmaker, 100%. Right? Like you want to see these because they're not going to win.
And you'll get some of those. There's no doubt. But the problem is you're going to get outweighed by a lot of the chalk parlays. And the chalk has been hitting in the UFC. I mean, last weekend they went 10-1. And I think they're hitting over 70%. And normally they're around the 65% mark where favorites, end the year winning about 64, 65%. And right now it's hitting over 70%. So favorites are catching left and right. And public's out there parlaying all these favorites because they know it's been chalky.
Do you have any, whether it be firsthand or secondhand stories about these big Tyson fights in the 90s, about these bookmakers you've worked with over the years or guys you've talked to in the space about what it was like being in the back or being in that room when the money's coming in on these Tyson fights?
Not too much. I mean, I've been in this game since the end of 2003. So, I've been in it for a while, but as far as booking boxing or helping out with, a lot of boxing, that wasn't kind of my forte, so to speak. It was always UFC and MMA. But I mean, obviously growing up as a Tyson fan, and I mean, he was just destroying everybody. He had that mystique about him that was just undeniable. And of course, I'm not surprised. He's going to always be one of the biggest draws in boxing, whether it's money, whether it's just people tuning in to see him fight. It's amazing what he's done. And he's just a legend, man. It's unbelievable. But no outstanding stories I could honestly share with you guys. I know you're disappointed. Just tell them the truth.
I'm not disappointed. You just never know. Look, I wasn't around either, but I had the pleasure of getting Roxy on the show at Bet Bash. Oh. And Roxy had Vaquero in the front row, and they were talking about how Jimmy Aller came in and wanted to bet some exorbitant amount of money on Tyson at minus 4,000 against Buster Douglas. And Jimmy's like, what the hell? It's like maybe like I see. I don't want to get the figure wrong because it could be 80,000. It could be 300,000. But laid that to win a lot less, and Buster Douglas beats Mike.
Lightning struck.
Oh, yep.
Lightning struck. That was incredible.
Yeah, and that's the one. And Roxy said he had the ticket because Jimmy Aller tried to throw it in the garbage, and Roxy went in and grabbed it and said, "No, I'm gonna keep that ticket on Tyson at a huge favorite price because it went off didn't Buster go off about 38 or 39-1?" Or something like that. And
yeah, it was ridiculous. It's one of the biggest dogs ever in boxing history for sure. Yeah, it was insane.
Oh. But Tyson, from everything I can gather, Tyson and De La Hoya, you either bet on them or you bet against them. They bring in the money, people fill the arenas, and people have opinions on these fights. And that's why we're seeing Mike Tyson open as a $2.45 dog. And now you're lucky to find a 170, 180, man. That's the power of the champ.
Yep. And I know a lot of books out there are kind of trying to be cautious about it. I mean, they're not going to have a choice if the money keeps on flooding in on Tyson. But yeah, again, there's a lot of places out there. A lot of my friends have walked up to the counter here trying to put a big bet on Jake Paul and they get denied. So to me, the risk management still in Vegas, when you walk up to the counter to some of these places, it continues to need improvement because, man, you have people out there willing to lay some chalk and give you some action where you definitely need it. There's no question about it. And they're kind of like hesitating and afraid to take some of these bets, which like I said, I see it firsthand. So it's difficult, man. Some of these bigger bettors, is not easy for them to get down.
I'm going to bring in the boys before we let you go, Nick. I want to see your reaction to their reaction. We have the boys from the Sports Gambling Podcast here. That's Ryan Kramer and Sean Green. Eagles gear naturally on the set, of course. You guys betting Tyson or Paul? What's the move?
Tyson. I don't want to be on public record going against Mike Tyson, just in case.
Just in case one day we run into Mike. Yeah.
Tyson in the first round.
I'm definitely gonna
the number one bet in every book.
Yeah,
Tyson
I'm
in
a
the
donkey.
first round.
I'm a donkey. Give me Tyson.
I think yes, a Tyson knockout just in case it happens. But I smell something a little fishy here with this entire fight. Call me crazy. 8-round fight, very easy to score at 4-4. I'm going to be the guy who overthinks this and bets draw because I think them like, oh, hey, no one loses any face. Oh, wow. Look at the judges we hired somehow graded this ultimately even. Oh, I guess we're going to have to do a rematch and both make another $50 million. Call me cynical, but I love the draw here at whatever price you can get it.
You got the heavy gloves too. Heavy gloves.
Yeah.
Right?
Big 14.
I did notice that too, though, that the fight is favored. Like you can bet what round it will end. Going the distance, Nick, is the favorite.
Yeah, because I think it's maybe they think it's going to be a feeling out process, a little bit more respect shown, but it might be a glorified sparring match. I mean, I guess I could see it going that way a little bit as well, but I don't think so, man. I don't think you can bank on that. I think when these guys get going, they're going to start throwing leather. I mean, Tyson's going to throw a little bit, Jake's going to throw, so it's going to come down to like who honestly has more heart. We've seen these guys we've seen Jake Paul kind of fade as the fight goes sometimes as well, but I think he'll be okay here in this spot. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an early knockout.
All right, that's Nick Kalikas. Please follow at Fight Odds. He works for UFC Fight Pass. I appreciate you making time on a busy weekend. Big fight tomorrow and a bigger fight, I would argue, at least for my money, on Saturday between John Jones and Stipe. Nick, appreciate your time, man.
Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. Good luck.
All right, let's go back to this conspiracy theory on the fight because I need to hear this about. So I heard this one, and I got to pull the text up. There's this rumor going around that Paul will lose to Tyson, but then Tyson will train Paul to fight somebody even bigger, and then Netflix produces everything.
Yeah, I mean, with all these Netflix shows, it's not like they don't just put out one Squid Games, right? Like, hey, Squid Games is a huge hit, and ironically, they're using this fight to sell Squid Games 2, dropping season 2 or whatever, dropping in January. So I don't know. Netflix knows there's no money in a one-time event. So however your conspiracy brain wants to get you to that second event, and just think about all the states that are not allowing you to bet on this fight. Right there, to me, is like red flag territory because I don't know off the top of my head how they're getting this sanctioned, but there's like a decent number of states. I know Pennsylvania is one of them where you actually can't bet on it. Kramer, your cousin wanted us to put in a bet, right? Because
he's back east and he can't get down in New York.
Yeah,
he can't get down in a couple other places. So yeah, it does seem like they're at least it's like smoke, right?
Yeah,
maybe it's not a fire, but it's probably a fire.
No, and maybe Tyson's conditioning is so bad he can't. I mean, he is in his 50s, but yeah, I mean, how are you not a sucker for falling for some of these videos where I don't know if you saw the TikTok, this like young girl who's a big TikTok star interview Mike Tyson, and he just comes back with this terrifying response. Like he was being nice. He wasn't being a jerk, but he's just like, my legacy is that it's nothing. We all are dust. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to go out there and murder Jake Paul. And then we become dust years later. Maybe my kids think about me. That's all I care about. And this like, super bright perky like TikTok girls like, okay, all right. Well, thanks for sharing, Michael. I was just dying. So yeah, I love all the pomp and circumstance. I worry that the actual quality of the boxing is not going to be that good. But I'll certainly be watching. So.
Oh, we'll watch it and we'll gamble on it. And it's funny, Kramer, you said that when we brought you in, you're like, oh, round one knockout. I have a guy who I grew up with. He's a little bit older than me, but he is convinced, and he has almost convinced me that Tyson is going to knock him out. Like there's no other alternative in his brain. And he is so confident, it's making me confident.
It's funny. Me and a buddy of mine me and this buddy have other group text with other people, but we went down to the isolated text just to send hype videos for Tyson back and forth. And it's just like Tyson watching Jake Paul talk and him being like, huh. All right, that guy thinks he's a killer. He's not a killer. Yeah, I'm a killer.
He's a killer on paper. I was born. I'm a natural born killer.
And as someone who grew up with Tyson and just there's only been so many boxers I've watched or fighters in general that can just take the soul of a man. And so yeah, I'm not getting in the way of Tyson taking someone's soul. So I'll be sad if I lose the money, but I'll be sadder if I don't bet on Tyson to knock him out and he knocks him out in the first round.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, draw it like 8-1 is just it checks a lot of boxes for me for what this event might actually be. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
So Thursday night, and I want to get to your guys' touchdown bets because I've seen both of you maniacs hit some bombs this year. Who was it that hit the Josh Oliver 66-1? I can't remember which one of you did that. I didn't even know who that guy was. I didn't even know he was on a team. And I see SGP pumping out, Josh Oliver 66-1. That was the Vikings Rams game a couple of weeks back. But let's look at this Philly up to 4.5 at a couple shops. Sean, you're the Philly guy. You nervous about tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always nervous going into an Eagles game, but I kind of the case I'm making for the Eagles is that one, defense is playing a lot better. I think their offense has looked way better since the bye. They've kind of leaned back into the run heavy approach. Hey, Hurts doesn't need to be throwing like 35, 40 times. You have Saquon Barkley. You have a good offensive line. They haven't lost a game yet with AJ Brown playing. I think AJ Brown is going to get his. I think Devonta's a tough guard for this Commander secondary. And then on the other side, like the Washington offense, Jaden Daniels took a tremendous amount of shots in that Steelers game. Like if you were watching, like they were getting to him, took some shots. He's a guy that was already dealing with a rib injury a little bit. Now on a short week, you're a rookie with a compressed like prep schedule going into a hostile environment. I think it's going to be a tough ask for him. And it seems like the market is kind of responding to that. I'm surprised that we're, circa's up to a 4.5. It would suggest maybe that some sharp people are coming in and taking the Eagles, pulling that thing up a little bit. And maybe they want some Washington action coming back the other way. It's the NFC East. It's always going to be interesting, at least this year, with the exception of Dallas and New York. So yeah, I'm on the Eagles, but yeah, it's always a little nerve wracking. I mean, Jaden Daniels has looked good.
What do you think, Ryan?
I mean, I do think that I want to buy the idea that Washington has become overvalued and they're eventually going to slide down. And it starts with, the defense seems to be playing up and being opportunistic. And, like Sean said, unfortunately, Jaden Daniels looks good, but there is some fragility in how he plays. And he does seem to not really figure out how to slide. So they're just taking the rushing attempts away from him. So yeah, I mean, as far as tonight's game, I'm on the Eagles. Even with the line movement, I feel like it's probably true, and I would still be fine laying the points because the Eagles do a pretty good job of squeezing you once they're on top of you, and so I'm not super concerned about the idea of them being up 10 or 11 and screwing up and giving up the back door.
Last time we were all in the same room, you guys had tuxedos on.
Yes,
we did. Because I consume a lot of your content, and I've seen you from afar for years, and you guys always dress like you're going to the game.
Yeah,
and you reach out and you go, hey, we're going to do the show Friday, and then we're going to the Bet Bash dinner. So I show up. I'm going to go back to my room and shower and change and get ready to go to the dinner. I walk into the studio. You guys got fucking penguin suits on. And I go, this is not right. That was so funny. And then I think it was you, Sean, you were like, yeah, this is really uncomfortable. You had the tux on. You guys were styling and profiling for that live show.
Yeah, no, it was honestly just a logistics thing of like, basically, hey, we didn't have time to go back to the room and get our tuxes on. And then also just like, hey, I mean, we rented these things, may as well, wear them for the VSiN show, turn it into a bit. There's nothing funnier than like giving out degenerate stuff or doing degenerate activity while wearing a tux. And I was sweating my ass off in that studio. And but Bet Bash was a great time. So
it's also funny, knowing that there's also new management involved to
like
just randomly show up for one of your shows in a tux. Like not trying to brown nose it all.
Yeah, no, we look sharp, bet sharp is what they always say. So yeah, definitely rocking the tuxes. It was fun.
You guys wore tuxedos to a job that requires to clean bathrooms, right? The old Step Brothers line.
Oh yeah, that's great. He's like, I like it. It's ironic. Okay, it's fun. Seth Rogen's so good.
Now the tuxedos seem a little fucked up. I think I really, I don't want to say triggered, but maybe upset Kramer, because that was when I told him about the Saquon Offensive Player of the Year ticket.
Yeah.
Remember?
I mean, you're probably feeling pretty good with some CLV right now.
Derrick Henry scares the hell out of me, though.
Yeah, you're gonna need probably him to fall off the tracks, but yeah, I know. I mean, Saquon's having a great season. Generally, he struggles to finish the season, but I don't want to predict any injury or anything like that. But we do have some weeks to go.
Would never try and jinx the Eagles with some negative mojo. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, Saquon in general has just been like a pleasant surprise. I thought he would be, my handicap was basically like, hey, is he an upgrade of what we had going last year, running back? Sure. But I was kind of skeptical that he'd have maybe his best year of his career so far. It's rare you see a running back kind of peak this late into his career, but maybe he'd never had the quarterback, the offensive line to support him. So knock on wood, Saquon keeps rolling because he looks great and he's been a huge part of the offense.
For those that aren't watching on YouTube, if you're listening back on Apple or Spotify, great, sexy looking studio for the Sports Gambling Podcast. And if you can't see, you got Sean Green in his Philly gear, and then you got Ryan Kramer to the right behind all the Giants gear. And so it's like an Eagles fan and a Giants fan. And as we all know, Saquon goes from New York to Philly. So I imagine that's been a very hot topic of conversation.
Oh, it's been great.
You guys go back and forth here. Take as much time as you need. What was the thought process for tonight? Did we make any bets? That's a dumb question. I know we did. What do we got? Let's empty the clip. Go ahead.
Yeah. So to me, it's an auto play. Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. I mean, earlier in the week when we did our Thursday night prop show, it was sitting at like even money -105. He's had 8 rushing touchdowns in the last 3 games. To me, it's just as auto play as you can. Obviously, all over the Eagles at 3.5 when we picked it as well. And then, looking to the first touchdown market, there's a couple. The Eagles inherently are a chalk team when it comes to the first touchdown stuff, but I think there's a couple long shot ones, including Jahan Dotson. You can get that right now anywhere. Some places are close to like 50 to 1. He's really fun. Kenny Gainwell 75 to 1, and then last last fun. Sprinkle / I think actually has a decent chances. Will Shipley anytime touchdown. FanDuel had it at like 26 to 1. I wouldn't be surprised. They've been like slowly integrating him more and more into the offense. I think he's the true replacement for Saquon. If Saquon gets nicked up a little bit or gets tired on a drive,
don't you dare say he's getting hurt. How dare you?
No, not hurt, but like, he'll get tackled. He'll come out for a couple plays. They'll put Shipley in. Shipley has quietly been getting, now some of that was they've been housing these teams. And so Shipley has been kind of getting some more looks. Will Shipley, and he had a touchdown called back against the Bengals. I think he's due for one tonight. Will Shipley anytime touchdown 26 to 1. 1. If you're a psycho, 100-1 first touchdown. But
okay,
that's kind of what I like.
Share before I pass it to the other side of the table. I am going to hop in for a second because I use this site religiously every day for the rec books. This is the Prop Shop at FTN Bets. Look at the range on Will Shipley first touchdown. So Caesars has 45-1.
No.
And then MGM and FanDuel have 100-1. The same bet, guys, makes you 45 at one book and 100 at the other.
Now click over on score a touchdown because I would love to see what his anytime is at right
18
now.
18 to 25. That's your range.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we did it, FanDuel had like 27, but I still think anything in the 20s is worth a sprinkle there.
It just shows you they don't like these markets are, and especially the first touchdown, the variance is crazy. I mean, that week that the Josh Oliver hit that you talk about. I mean, I believe DK had it at like 35-1. FanDuel had it at 66-1, and so it's like
it really makes a huge difference, especially in this market.
But first touchdown. I'll sprinkle the first touchdown board, and I'm unlike Sean. I'll play the other side. I'll play some Commanders action. Zach Ertz seems very obvious at 20-1. He's heavily involved in this offense. But De'Ami Brown, he got a red zone target, a red zone opportunity last week, and he's 50-1. This is one of those maybe they're not watching the game situations. He's getting worked into the packages that they're deploying in the red zone. So 50-1, crazy outlier price. And then sometimes I do play chalk. So I'm actually only playing one Eagle for this game. Typically I play 4 guys, 2 from each team, but I'm just loading up on AJ Brown 9-1. I think he's got a tremendous matchup. No Latimer, and in the secondary, very young and small, undersized for the Washington Commanders. So I think he's going to play bully ball. So like him on the first touchdown. Also like him to go over his yards. And I'll say something nice about Saquon Barkley.
Thank you.
Receiving yards ladder tonight.
Ooh,
the numbers at 13.5. Play it all the way up to 50. In his career with the Giants, he always caught a bunch of passes against the Washington football team. That top rung on the ladder, 50 yards, 9-1, Sean. So and I'm with Sean on the Eagles, as disgusting as it is. I would love to be on the Commanders here. I think they're starting to slide down. Maybe they're a couple weeks behind the Vikings in terms of perspective, but it feels like we're going to start to see Jaden Daniels. The tape's out there. We understand how to play him. Vic Fangio's style of defense is perfect. Make him make some throws over the middle. Make him complete the short stuff and drive down the field. And I'm not buying it tonight. So I'll lay the points.
This was the perfect game and the perfect pregame show to do with you two, because coming in, I thought, I don't really like anything. And now I'm just going to have a bunch of $100 first touchdown bets. Like, what could possibly go wrong? I love that. What do you guys got for the weekend? Anything ahead? Anything on Saturday in college or Sunday in pro? You don't have to share all your secrets, but is there a bet or two that you really love?
Oh yeah, I mean, call me the square. I don't know if you heard of this team, Sam, but the Kansas City Chiefs, and they made them an underdog one more time. I'm sure your audience, if they listen to any gambling content, have heard Mahomes as a dog, 12-1-1 ATS. They're just a team that figures out ways to win every single time. Vegas is begging you to take the Chiefs. Yeah, they were begging you to take the Chiefs against the 49ers, and I fell for that trap as well. I mean, look at the Broncos game. I was on Broncos +8. I was watching that game the entire time, and I go, Sean, you're so soft. You should have had Broncos money line. You've been pounding the table about the Broncos all season. Everyone calls you an idiot for liking Bo Nix and thinking they're a good team, and now they're going to win the Chiefs, and you missed out on this awesome money line opportunity. And then the Chiefs block a 35-yard field goal. I get it. The Chiefs will probably lose at some point in this season, but man, I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes as an underdog. Love him as a dog. And then, another quote unquote system play for me is the Steelers and Mike Tomlin catching 3 points, 3.5. I saw some 3.5 -120s out there. That feels really, really good. I think their passing game, they're going to be able to take advantage of the Ravens. They've done a great job against Lamar historically. Tomlin is a division dog, 22-10 ATS. Any sort of trend that you want to look at, they're doing great at it, and they're at home as a dog against a Ravens team. I always look to the dog in an AFC North matchup, but this one, I think in particular, really stands out for me. Steelers have been playing really good football. This is a field goal game in my mind, either way. So I'll definitely take the 3, and then 3.5 -120 is out there earlier today. So like that as well.
Yeah, the Tomlin angle as a dog, all those narratives, and typically Baltimore's pass defense is a little bit better. This is like a tailor-made defense for Russ to cook against and just hit those deep shots. I'm also on those sides with Sean, but I'll throw another one in there with you. A little rest disparity. Love the Cleveland Browns coming off the bye, going against this New Orleans team coming off the get-up game. Great Italian American, who, by the way, did win Italian American of the Week on our show this week. Darren Rizzi, he got the intensity out of his team. They got up for the big win against divisional foe. A little bit of a fraudulent win if you look at the box score. Now they got Cleveland coming to town. Nick Chubb all the way healthy. The offensive line all the way healthy. Jameis, we'll call it a revenge spot. Although I don't think he's mad at the city of New Orleans.
He seemed to have fun down there.
But so yeah, love Cleveland catching the point. Maybe you can still get a 1.5. I think FanDuel still has that out there. And then one more angle that I'm certainly going to buy into this weekend is, again, maybe it's a donkey play, but I'm laying all the points with Detroit. I think this Detroit team is going to smash. I think defensive anytime touchdown for their defense against Mac Jones is in play. And I look at Dan Campbell and I feel like whatever happened in the past for them, he's been just before every game, no letdown. And so they've yet to come out super flat. I think they can just casually cruise in this one. And oh, by the way, the Jags are completely beaten up. Trevor Lawrence not playing, and like I said, Mac Jones is good for at least a pick 6 in this one. So yeah, those are my favorite plays this weekend.
You also brought up the Rizinator, and did you use the word destroyed? His day started when he destroyed that toilet.
That's the. I mean, imagine. I do kind of like how clearly transparent and sincere he is, but imagine that coming to your mind is like, oh, this will be a good icebreaker.
I'll save this for the press conference.
Yeah, it's like, don't say I destroyed the toilet. Don't say I destroyed the toilet. I destroyed the toilet. No.
Yeah. By the way, I totally destroyed the toilet.
He is the kind of guy that would be proud of that. You can tell the neck muscles in that man. He's proud of that.
He must be putting down a number of protein shakes. Like, that's just a guy who's probably still does creatine, like whatever sort of workout supplement the team and the NFL players do. Rizzy's probably like, yeah, give me what they're having. Whatever Kamara's on, I'll take some of that.
Unlimited hard-boiled eggs at the mess hall.
Yeah, like you could just tell that guy's yoked out. So,
all right, before we let you guys go, I'm just trying to remember all the names because I've been living this show, not listening to the show. We got a Brown anytime touchdown, AJ Brown. We got a Gainwell anytime touchdown. We had to play a little football team, right? So we got Brown and we got Ertz. Who am I missing?
De'Ami Brown and Ertz is right. That's the Commander side of things.
Yeah, and then for me, it's a Gainwell first touchdown, and then Jahan Dotson first touchdown, and then for anytime I like Will Shipley. Like, that could be a fun last touchdown as well if you want to get crazy. But the 25 or whatever it was, 22-1 anytime on Will Shipley. That alone to me is a fun angle. So those are and then Hurts anytime touchdown. If it's I haven't seen what the latest is on that price, but anything that's like -110 or better, it's just a smash play. The tush push still works, and he still gets in the end zone. So love Jalen Hurts.
Be honest though, Sean, it's a win even if they bring Shipley on the field at the end of the game.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't even have to score. You just have to see him on the field to make it move a little bit.
No, and so yeah, again, I love gambling. Crucify me, but to your point, the heart rate will be going up as soon as Will Shipley sees the field in anywhere close to the end zone. Even if he just gets like 3-4 carries, it's probably not going to be a ton. But he's looked good, man. And I'm telling you, he had one against the Bengals, and Sirianni is kind of a narrative guy. So again, that's why I kind of like the revenge angle for Dotson. That's why I kind of like Will Shipley. He should have had a touchdown against the Bengals. Maybe they figure out a way to get him one here. So again, long shot, sprinkle stuff. That's always fun for prime time. But if you're going big, Jalen Hurts anytime. That's the smash.
That's Ryan Kramer, Sean Green, Sports Gambling Podcast. Here are the handles: at Kramer Centric, at Sean T Green, at Gambling Podcast. I don't know when I'll see you again. Vegas is obviously the odds-on favorite, where we'll all meet together again. And I just have to remember to bring the what did you have, Kramer, in your room? Like the to keep everything
humidifier.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I brought a humidifier. I'm like, this fucking guy, right?
We go out every Friday to do our VSiN show. It's, we stay over the Circa one night, fly back. It's the Burbank. We're in LA. Burbank to Vegas flight's like 45 minutes. But Ryan, every time I see him Friday afternoon at the airport, he's there. He's got his little travel pouch for his humidifier. He brings it every time for these like one night trips.
Just trust me.
He sounded like an angel, and we all sounded horrible from all the heat and the drinking. He sounded like a damn like opera singer. We were all sounding like garbage.
It does. Vegas kills your voice, man. You get Vegas voice. It's all like cracked out. Maybe you bummed a cigarette off someone. That recycled AC air, the dry desert. It really does a number on your voice.
I appreciate you, boys. Cheers, and I will see you.
Take it easy. Thanks for having us.
All right, that's Sean Green and Ryan Kramer from the Sports Gambling Podcast, and joining us now, a very patiently waiting Corbie Craig. You look like you're at a gas station. Where are you right now?
Yeah, I'm at a gas station in the middle of nowhere. So you go from like one of the nicest setups in all of podcasting, all of sports, to this is what you're getting. I brought my mic, but I forgot the dongle because I got the new MacBook. Forgot the dongle. So rookie mistake. Hey, we're here though. I couldn't miss 3 weeks in a row, Sam. I told you, no matter what, if it's 5 minutes, I'll be here. We got to get a little bit of football in. You had some great guests, so it's an honor to be the end of that in a car.
The commitment to do this show at a gas station in rural Alabama is unprecedented for this show. So let's get you back on your way. You put your record out earlier for picks on this show. We're almost 70%, right? Well, I did nothing. You're almost 70% with the totals, right?
Yeah. We will say you did something. You told me no sides and
no more
that's
sides.
A win. And I told you today I was going to put a side on, and I changed my mind. So I would say give you half the credit. And sometimes not picking losers is better than picking winners.
I do like your side though. I do like Tennessee. Is that your total move, that game in the SEC?
See, that's what I was going to do, and then I was driving. The Florida to Alabama was a pretty boring drive, and I was sitting here and I was contemplating if that's where I want to go. It's not. Here's what we're going to do, Sam. We're on Chicken Dinner. We're not here to talk about the good games. We're not here to talk about the games that are competitive. I don't have a rotation number for you, but I do have a game that I haven't even told you about. I bet it. I'm going to tell you to bet it.
Okay.
Give me the Houston, Arizona. I don't know that rotation number. I'm going to take the under there. I saw Circa hit some 47s. Probably we'll have to give 46.5.
Yeah, 46.5 is the fair number. There's a couple 47s, but not many.
Hey, it's okay. Keep your points. We don't need them. Under 46.5. Arizona, Houston. Hear me out. This Arizona team, 14th in the nation in points per play last year. We all know they have a quarterback, they have a receiver, they good friends. They have the same NIL deal with a private jet, which is what I need right now. I am driving, so NIL. If y'all want to hit me up, hey, we'll sponsor Chicken Dinner on there. So we know that their ceiling was so high to start the year. Everyone was like, "This is going to be one of the best offenses in the nation." I'm not sure you can regress down enough to how bad they've been. Like, they've went over in the last few games. I think they went over the last 2 games. Neither of them were because of them. Like, I think they scored 13 versus UCF. UCF had like 50 something. So it's not something that I look at this number and I'm like, wow, Arizona has really helped push these overs. They're not doing basically anything. I've not been impressed at all. Like, you watched the Colorado game, they scored 7 points. I had the over there, 58. They helped none. Colorado basically did whatever they wanted in a defense who's cleaned up, but they're not good. Houston likes to run the ball, likes to be slow. We know this team just like isn't anywhere near great. They've cleaned it up a lot. They got another quarterback, a running quarterback. This is under for me. This is steamed up. So like if this show was tomorrow, I think you might be able to get more 47s. I saw this was 44.5. Across the 45, up to the 46. We're hitting 47, and I do not get it at all. I will gladly take an under 46. Houston, Arizona. That rotation is what? Give me the 324 there, Sam.
Surprised you can see that on your
It's
cell phone
struggling.
slanted
Also,
sideways.
check this out. I brought my computer. We got a computer. We got a light. Listen, it's the chicken dinner pod. I had to take it as serious as I could. I've got the AirPods in. We're chilling.
No, this is beautiful. We've got over 1,000 people watching live right now. I see my text up right now. Corbie from the gas station is all time. So you know that the boys are going to be talking about you. Is there anything else you'd like to share before you hit the highway?
Yeah, we were gonna hit the goal was to on the show do Coastal Carolina's under. I see Coastal Carolina 328. Oh, we can get a 57. It was 50. There's
Yep.
I see most
57.
56 and a half.
Yeah, 56.5 is mostly what I see.
It's close. Let's not. We got a good record, 11-5 on the show. We're not gonna stress out. 57 is pretty key in college football. If this gets bumped up to 57, I wanted an under there. I know Bud talked about it on the Cover 3 podcast. Push it down a point. Understandably, that's an under game. But a 56.5. Let's just leave it. Well, hey, again, bets not taken. Just like wins. If we don't lose, that's a win. So we will take the one that we feel good about. I see you pulling up in the middle of my screen right now, Sammy. You got to show me the UAB Memphis. You already know I want to bet my Blazers. I don't want anything to do with it.
Well, no, I was going to make fun of you because I know if you weren't 11-5, you wouldn't be so selective. And don't tell me that you wouldn't, because I do not believe you. UAB Memphis.
UAB under. I would be on that under if I wasn't 11-5.
2.5. Oh, you like the under there?
Yeah, I think it's too much. UAB has looked like absolute god awful trash. But I will say, like the last few games, like it's really hard to price in if teams care, you know. And I will say, like the last few games, it's for a minute there, it looked like UAB like actually did not want to play football. They wanted Dill for fire. Like you could kind of feel the sentiment in the air. When like you watch these games, like I mean, they're playing defense. Like it's a scrappy crew. I would say this is priced a little wrong. I was at 59, so it's like nothing crazy. 63, I would take an under. I know this got hit down a little bit, but I'm not running to the fence about it. Also, I just don't think UAB's that good offensively. Like we're still missing starting quarterback. QB2 has looked okay. Like I'm not running to the fence to bet. If you want to bet a UAB game tomorrow, Sammy, it's a completely different sport. UAB plays High Point in basketball at High Point. Those are my two favorite college basketball teams. You know High Point. That is going to be, I'm telling you, people watching, that will be the best mid-major game of the year by far. High Point is an impeccable college basketball program. UAB has a ton of talent. I'm excited to watch it. I will not actually be able to watch it live. I have further obligations. My brother's going on Shark Tank. Told everybody that. So I will be watching that. But I'll be sneaking in the Blazers in the background, you know.
I did see your tweet how one brother is inventing a business with a tea company and the other one's a gambler.
The other's on the side of the road at a gas station between a McDonald's and a Texaco with like 2 lights on and telling them to bet Houston unders. So it's,
all right.
You know, some of us
get out of here. Get out of here. By the way, I think Nico's playing for Tennessee on Saturday.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. I didn't know if we talked. Was that talked about earlier in the show?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about how I bet 10.5. So I think he's going to play, but we'll see.
So from the guys at Tennessee that I know, like the guys who just are like diehard Tennessee guys, it was pretty unanimous he's going to play. He cleared concussion protocol today. That's what I was told a few times. So I fully agree that he's going to play. What was weird about that, and I agree with the Tennessee bet, don't listen to me on any side ever, but Nico cleared protocol today, and that number got bumped up from 9.5 to 10.5, which is strange to me because the people who would move that probably got the same information as us. That's my only worry, but it's not really a worry. I think Tennessee's the right side. I would lean towards an over. I wanted a 47, but it's not going to come.
No sides.
No sides.
No sides. Please follow at Corbie BO. Our guy is at a gas station in the middle of nowhere giving bets for you. Safe travels. And I will, I'll talk to you probably tomorrow, but we'll talk to you on the show hopefully next Thursday.
Sir, everybody watch Shark Tank. What is that? ABC, 7 p.m. Central. Y'all sweet tea. It'll be on 7 o'clock. Can't wait. I actually have no clue if my brother got a deal, so it's the most excited I've been for anyone in quite some time. He's asking I think 10 million valuation, which is the third biggest in Shark Tank history. So that'll be great. I'm really excited for that. And then after that, back to sports.
UAB High Point. We'll see you, bud.
Yes, sir.
That's Corbie Craig. The dedication right there to join us from a highway gas station in Alabama. That's chicken dinner for you. Before we do anything else, I almost grabbed the wrong bottle there. I did get a new package from Pepper Palace. These hot sauces are very good. I have the look at this. It's actually a chicken. They call it a rooster. I call it a chicken. It's the Red Eye Rooster hot sauce. This is for all you Scotch bonnet people. King Scotch bonnet. Very hot. As you can see, I tried a little bit. Very, very hot. And then this one, this is very good. This is the Gator Swamp Gas, right? Swamp Gas. Get your head out of the gutter. It's hot. It's not that hot. It's hot. I wish I didn't do that. Woo. Gator Swamp Gas. Very hot. If you want any of these sauces, holy shit, that's hot. It's good. It's hot. Go to pepperpalace.com. Use the promo code BAWK, B-A-W-K. You get 10% off all your orders. Very hot. Very good. Very hot. Not like all the way hot. I mean, this Scotch bonnet one is even worse. Although usually you don't take shots of hot sauce on the show. But use the promo code BAWK, 10% off all your orders. Say hi to Paul, too, if you can. The picks, again, we're on a 14-3 run. Somebody said, what's with the facial hair? I ain't shaving until I go cold again. It looks horrible. Don't care. Arkansas plus 13.5. Notre Dame minus 22.5. Tennessee plus the points, 10.5. Steelers plus 3. Raiders plus 7. And I do like to hook the Chiefs up in a teaser. 8.5 to the Bengals at plus 7.5. Thanks to Nick Kalikas, to Ryan Kramer, to Sean Green, and to Corbie Craig. And most importantly, thanks to you. Almost 1,100 people watching live right now on the 10th edition of Chicken Dinner Live. Cash some tickets, make some money. We'll talk to you next time right here on Chicken Dinner.